Hey, good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. If you stand and say the pledge with us. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Awesome.
Best pledge you've ever had.
All right, we'll go on, move along to Spotlight School evening.
Good evening, it is my privilege to introduce Miss Bowman's third grade class, who are, I think, planning a snowball fight for you, so I hope you're excited about that. But no further ado, I will hand it over to Miss Bowman, and I hope you're excited to get into a snowball fight.
Hi, thank you so much for having us, and I feel incredibly honored to be here. I'm not a first-year teacher, but first year with Greenfield, and it's been a wonderful experience so far, and really fallen in love with my kiddos, and so I'm really excited to have 12 of my friends here with me today. So we're going to go through a couple of things to show how I have incorporated STEM completely into our curriculum and our daily schedule. The kids always crack up when I say, do you see how that connects to something else? And they're like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? So they get, my humor, which is good. So why STEM, and we say why cross-curricular instruction is because it's best practice. So embedding science across the subjects can create deeper connections for students. Cross-curricular practices can be a useful tool to reinforce concepts across subjects when time is limited, and we know our school day is limited so much. So we have to condense everything, and we have to make the biggest bang for our buck. So how do we make that happen? I think that we incorporate a lot of science and math and technology into that, and engineering, and get them to be critical thinkers. So science and literacy aren't perhaps the most commonly integrated subjects, but beginning in elementary school and throughout upper grades, they required many shared skills and hold opportunities for deeper learning. We know that with our early foundational skills of reading, literacy is so important in that we have to have those speaking and listening skills. Science and technology, engineering, math, all that STEM stuff, we have to practice those things, and they've learned. Sometimes I work better in a small group than I do in a large group. Sometimes I work better on my own, and those kinds of things. So it's wonderful to see them kind of be put in those challenging situations and learn those coping skills as well. I love doing science because it is deeper content, and it gives us a great opportunity for extra vocabulary practice, close reading routines, and opportunities for complex text, and using those text features and knowing all of those things that are so important in third grade for iLearn and iRead and NWEA. This is a big year for these kiddos, so being able to do that and do it in a fun way, they really, really enjoy that. So with my planning, I make sure that I always take into consideration what my students' needs are and overlap those skills in each subject to allow that the science and literacy growth flourish overall. So we have been studying the engineering design process, so all of them know the first thing we do is ask the question, and then we start imagining how are we going to fix that question, and the next thing we do is plan, and that is the hardest part for them because they think that it should just happen like that. And then it's even harder when they're in a group, right? Because then somebody else has an idea and somebody else has an idea. Their most favorite part is when we get to create. They love the building time that they get to do. And then they, of course, love when we get to test and improve. And that teaches them that life skill that we're not always going to get it right the first time. And so that, we have to learn how to lose humbly and win graciously. That's right. Reflect and present is the last step. So they get to present what worked, what didn't, and a lot of times we get to go back and start the whole process all over again. So they've enjoyed learning all of that. I have introduced the vocabulary of criteria and constraints for them. So they've learned that the criteria is what is required. So during their design process, they need to know what is required of them to be successful, and the constraints are what their limitations are. And they have found that that is difficult because sometimes they say, I just wish we would have had more time. I wish I would have been able to use this type of tape and not this tape. And so that's part of that learning process, and I sometimes give them an opportunity that we go back and do that STEM challenge a second time so that they can make those accommodations. So some of the things we've done this year is, one of the very first ones I love to do is the longest paper chain. And the reason I do that is it's great team building, and it teaches them that this year everything's gonna connect to everything so that we have a deeper thought. So they had 2 pieces of construction paper, 6 inches of tape, and that was the hardest part, was figuring out how to get that tape to not stick to everything else. So I love to take pictures, I love to see them in the moment. They know I don't want selfies. Parents have plenty of those selfies, but they love to be able to be, they always say famous and all of those things. So we're using a lot of cross-curricular things with using linear measurement and all of those things along with that. We don't always build. Sometimes we have done live studies in our classroom. So one of my passions is monarch butterflies, and we did a STEM unit there where we did a lot of studying of that deeper content in the in those books and those nonfiction texts. And I actually, they know I stop alongside the road and I check milkweed on my own. I don't order it. I'm just the crazy butterfly lady alongside the street, looking under leaves, and brought in my own monarch caterpillars. And we watched the whole life cycle and talked about those things and how they related to life cycles for us as humans too. So we even got to release them, and we decided, we know that they're heading to Mexico. We wish that, we're hoping that in the spring that we can do more with our outside lab and get more of a monarch butterfly way station out there for them. So the next one they loved was the wheel and axle STEM challenge. We learned all of the simple machines that they need to know for 3rd grade. And this is the one they got to do 3 times, because each time they kept saying to me, but if I had a better wheel, if I had a better, axle, I could do this better. So we went through it, lots of different approaches to this, and they did a really great job. I just love seeing them work, and the constraints that they had to use, the axles and the wheels, that they had to be functioning on an inclined plane and not be assisted. So there was a lot of headaches here. There was a lot of thinking, and going back to the drawing board, Mrs. Johnston even came in and kind of helped team teach a little with us that day. There's always a timer going off, so that keeps us engaged and on task as well. And they were very proud of their finished products when they finally got it all figured out. Really great stuff. The one that they felt like they liked but they didn't like, they felt it was the hardest, was the catapult. And we did it with Punkin Chunkin, and we kind of talked about how they do all of their things for that challenge. And we were shooting mini pumpkin candies for this one, so that was a lot of fun. Even Mr. Travis, our custodian, came out to the hallway. He enjoyed watching the kids shoot off their pumpkins. You can see him in the back. He was quite impressed with how far they got their little pumpkins to go. We also brought in rocks and minerals for a STEM unit. I love getting their hands on things. We learned the 3 types of rocks: the sedimentary rocks, the metamorphic rocks, and the igneous rocks. And then the last one we all did was the Mayflower penny boat challenge. And this one was really difficult for them. They had to make sure that the length of the boat was 6 to 12 inches, the width was 4 to 6 inches, and the height was 7 to 9 inches, and it must have a removable mast. And it had to float. And each penny represented a pilgrim. And so they had to hold at least 25 pennies. And our most pennies held was
250.
250 pennies. So quite impressive there. Just with aluminum foil and some tape and some styrofoam, rubber bands, and a lot of creativity. So now it is time for you all to be part of a snowball fight catapult STEM challenge. So you may be saying, okay, but what is my criteria? What are my constraints? So your criteria, and don't worry, you get your brainiacs to help you. Your challenge requirement is to construct a catapult with only the materials that are provided, and that will launch your mini marshmallow the furthest distance. And if you can get it across the table to hit somebody else, that's even better. I know, right? So today your constraints are 4 red craft sticks, 4 green craft sticks, 4 rubber bands, 2 plastic spoons, because we know that sometimes materials break, and 10 mini marshmallows. And lucky for you, I already have them ready in the bags. So you only have a 4-minute time, because I know, look at their mouths. Ah, I know, because we're on a time schedule here, but we want you to have fun. So grab a bag, go find somebody that looks like needs some help. All right, you're all experts at this. Show them how to do it. Go, go. Partner up if you want. Partner up, partner up. Go for it.
How are you? I think we should do this. Get everything else.
Oh, I gotta start our timer.
We gonna do this?
I'm getting all excited. All right, are we ready? Let's go. 4-minute timer.
Okay, time is
To make this. Yes.
Oh, you are, you know how to do it.
Somebody would.
What'd you try?
How to do this.
You got it, now I think. How far you let you build, for something you want me to help you with?
Wait.
Right, because we need our lever. We need our
If you tie it up, just leave one left, right?
Yep.
And twist this around.
This case is fancy.
That's okay.
I am
Oh,
a teacher.
then I'll feel like I did something.
I-
In the middle or on the end? It
Oh, wait.
doesn't matter.
So.
This right.
Be as tight as possible.
And then back. And then you have rubber band.
Change that.
On this end?
Yeah.
Alright.
Then you just like
Leader or your math? Goes higher. Is that good?
Alright, this.
Other way. Oh, you're getting it. It's the green one, right?
Yeah.
I do, yes.
I can't.
How's this?
Better?
Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you have to.
Together.
Did you work in a team or by yourself? Was he able to end?
Yeah, but you can talk.
That's the next
It's alright.
So just like this?
I got mine too tight.
So you probably didn't
I
want
know, I
to.
told you, I
Right.
can tell you all my secrets.
It's only December, I can't get that way.
Okay, what do you think we need to do to fix it?
So how did you guys figure this out when you were doing it? You were taking a little bit of direction.
We want to. We want to. So we were like, basically a little bit.
Just kind of did it.
You just figured it out. Okay, let's see. Alcohol.
Maybe we should see if we can shoot all in from zero.
Yeah, sure. Songs for that one. Okay.
It's pretty good.
It's like everyone.
Because the other, I just realized that I need to. Yeah!
I should open my mouth for it.
That's metal!
You just.
Snowball fight.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be good.
We should act. Go, Jacob. Yeah, you just need to, you put it like on the side that has more room. Gotta hit people. Gotta hit people.
And the girls felt like.
Oh no, it came off.
Is that what
You got facial.
You guys.
Oh, shot straight
Oh,
up in the air.
That was
Do you want me to try the rubber band?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, too,
so.
in there.
Look what we got.
So how many pennies did you want?
Oh, that was good. Where's the safety goggles at?
And some didn't, I know that you all wish you could have lots more time, right? But this gives everybody here ideas I can see how many husband and wives wanna go home now and figure out how to make this catapult work, so. We want to say thank you so much for allowing us to interrupt your meeting and giving us the time to show you some of the fun things we're doing at Eden Elementary and especially in our classroom. We've been honored to be here. The kids have been excited and preparing, so thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
And we don't want to stop. So we learned that if we live fix that.
I'm sure they.
Hey, no.
They're still on the
Jacob, you trying to be a Rousey?
Stop playing.
They're gonna go get a
Oh, yeah, that was wrong. You look like
You wanna get something inside or you want to?
They don't want to stop.
blue for 2 cents.
Alright, friends, are we ready? Look, they're gonna just stay and play. I see some of you not really kicking them out either.
You wanna keep them.
We can both have 5 marshmallows.
Alright, you go home and keep working on it, okay?
Alright.
Alright. Very nice to meet
You and Jacob.
So if we've accomplished everything we can.
We were having that conversation, right? How can we change?
You probably know how to fix it. Well, I don't.
That was, never did anything like that in my biology class.
You're gonna bring a phone.
Yeah, that's physics, I guess. I don't know.
Physics and engineering.
Alright, start that timer, 3 minutes. That's a little bit fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Alright, go ahead and move right along. I believe we have one public speaker tonight. Mr. Grant. I think you're well versed. 3 minutes. Dan Shaw will keep track of the time for us.
Sure.
Alright, and start now.
Alright, this is something that I've been bringing up with Dr. Owen and the board and Mr. Brown for over a year now. We have on the agenda, you get the agenda a week before, and it'll say policy recommendations, first reading, second reading, but there won't be any documentation as to what the actual documents are going to be read. And that includes even on the second reading, when the first reading was already done, you're not gonna know what was read unless you attend the meeting. As an example, tonight, we've got some second readings on the agenda, but we don't have what the numbers are, and I believe we're gonna be reading F225 and H250 tonight in the second reading. But the only reason I know that is because I was here last month. If you were here tonight, you would not know the documents that are being read. So I requested that the documents that are being read would be listed in the agendas. Anyone who would be looking up the information would not know what it was until after a week, after the minutes are posted, like the minutes will be voted on today, and they will be published in about a week. So it'd be a month and a week before you'd know the documents that were talked about at the meeting, unless you attended the meeting. The other thing is, this particular presentation I'm giving right now, this public comment, will not even be listed in the minutes. I researched and saw that the other times that I spoke were not listed, just said Grant Ford made comments. But it did not list the topic or the information that I had given to the board. So there's no record of public information listed in the minutes. I think that's another hindsight in not having that information in the minutes when there's a public comment being made. And that's it, I'm just asking that, I don't see any logical reason why we can't have these documents listed in the agendas before they're being spoken to, or talked about the week before, when you know what you're gonna be talking about. I'm assuming you know what you're gonna be talking about. If I'm wrong, you can correct me, but especially on the second readings, they should be listed in the agenda. And that's been my request for over a year. I think you know what I'm talking about. Okay, that's it.
Alright, thank you. Alright, we'll move right along to routine matters. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of November 13th, 2023 and the executive session of November 13th, 2023?
Move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting and the executive session.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. On to claims, Mr. Day.
Yes, included in your packet are the regular accounts payable claims, the payroll claims, and a construction claim for this month. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about a specific claim. Otherwise, I ask the board to approve the claims as presented.
Any questions, comments for claims? If not, can I get a motion to approve the claim doc as presented?
I'll make a motion, we approve the claims document as presented.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say. On to old and unfinished business, financial matters, Mr. Day.
Thank you. In your board packet are the actual November reports for the Education and the Operations Fund. We are going to end the year up in Education's Fund on our current projections. That's very positive. We are going to be down in our Operations Fund, but this is something we've talked about now, for almost the entire year, how we've been spending that down over time to address some deferred maintenance. We are to the end of that process. We will not be accomplishing big projects out of the Operations Fund for the next couple of years. We'll be focusing more on repairing what we have. And we're going to continue to do some work on our utility usage and our utility expenses and try to increase our efficiency in the Operations Fund that way. Next month, I will update you on the final results of 2023 budget year. And we will also look at all the transfers that happen at the end of the year to kind of unwind all the things we need to unwind. And hopefully by that time, we will have our 2024 budget in hand as well. I'm happy to answer any questions about the reports included. Otherwise, there is no action needed on this item.
We have no question or comments. Can we move on to instructional program report?
Yes, I'm actually gonna jump in on the first part of that. You have the Greenfield Central High School course proposals for 2024-25 for next year, and you would have seen these last month, so there can be no surprises here. A couple courses in agriculture, plant soil science, which would be 5074, food science, which is class number 5102, and the Family Consumer Science Department, Education Professions Capstone 7267, radio and television, the Capstone course 7308, and Advanced Placement Anatomy and Physiology in the Science Department. If there are no questions about that, we would like the board to approve those for the course catalog.
Do we have any questions, comments on it? Can I get a motion to approve the course requested for the 2024-2025 school year?
I move that we approve the course proposals for the 24-25 school year.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Continue.
The second item we have on there would be about our English learner handbook. We've actually asked Mrs. Sensini to be here this evening. If you remember, we hired Mrs. Sensini to oversee our preschool program. Among her other duties would be our English language learners program, and so she's really been progressive working with our EL staff to have some resources available to our community. So I'll let you go ahead and
Thank you, Dr. Olin and Board of School Trustees. This evening I want to share with you two things that are included in your packet. The first is the Multilingual Language Learner Program Manual. This is something that was started last year under Dr. Katz's leadership, along with Mrs. Welch and two of our EL teachers, Elisa Stanfill and Laura Parker, as well as Kathy Davison. And in this manual, basically, we outline the procedures and guidelines for serving our multilingual learners and families. This document will continue to be updated as continue to be updated in order to reflect any best practices as well as compliance with state and federal guidelines. So that is the first piece that is included in your packet this evening. Again, kudos to all of those individuals who started that process last year. We wanted to share that with you for informational purposes this evening. Just a reminder regarding our multilingual learners, as they come in, that initial assessment, the WIDA screener, is given one time. After that one-time assessment, then those students are assessed annually in 4 different domains. So we are coming up on the January-February testing window. Those domains include reading, listening, speaking, and writing. We also have individual learning plans for every single multilingual learner. Our students are proficiency levels range from level 1 through level 5. Level 1 is limited proficiency, whereas level 5 is fluent proficiency. So again, that is the first document that has been completed that provides guidelines for consistency across the district. And then secondly, for informational purposes, there are data snapshots of our multilingual learners that represent 13 different languages, and then also data for students receiving EL services by school and then by grade level. Lastly, in collaboration with our EL teachers, Kathy Davison, Greg Thompson, and Deb Nagel, as of today, we released our multilingual learner website. That is a work in progress, but you can access that. It has, again, the data and other information regarding our multilingual program and the way we service our students. So again, making some progress in regards to ML.
I thought it'd be eye-opening for you to see the number of languages that are represented in our community. And obviously, it is impacting students at every age level, kindergarten through the high school. So as our population has literally doubled in the last 3 years from what it would have been, we have to have a response to that in terms of meeting the needs of our students so that they can learn the things that we're teaching in English. So Dawn and her team having supports in place to help students along the way. So we're appreciative of the work that Dawn's been able to do with that EL team. If you have any questions for us, she'd be happy to entertain them.
Any questions, comment? No, thanks, so appreciate it.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Do you find that some of the languages are, like I was looking at Haitian Creole at 8%, is that 1 or 2 families or is it a number of families?
It's multiple families. We've definitely seen an increase there.
Anything else? I appreciate it, thank you very much.
We have one other thing in that instruction report, I believe, Ms. LeClaire.
So for the last year and a half, we've been working on aligning our practices in reading instruction, especially in grades K-3 with the Science of Reading body of research. There's legislation that's requiring things from us. So a few months ago, an opportunity for us, a grant from the state for the Science of Reading came out. And in order to pay for some of these initiatives, we went ahead and applied for the grant. 72 school districts in the state of Indiana were awarded the grant, and Greenfield was awarded $450,000. We were one of only 4 schools who received that level of funding. Everybody else that received the funding received a much lower amount. So yes, thank you. We are very excited about that. So we will use the money to do things to help reach our 95% goal for iRead 3, and we will use it for geodecodables and professional development in the writing revolution, Wilson language, our foundations program, some more Orton Gillingham training for some of our teachers, and then to pay for our literacy data coach, as well as a nationally recognized reading consultant who actually spent her first day with us today at Eden and Harris. So we're excited about that grant and ready to start spending it.
This was an unusual grant in that the time period to spend it was really quick. And obviously we put forth a plan that the state was pretty happy with. They actually asked us a few questions about our numbers and we just barely qualified for that highest category on our number standpoint, but there are many districts larger than us that receive much less than that. And I don't wanna paint a picture that things are all falling apart on reading. The state has put that goal of 95% for iRead. We've been between 90 and 94% as you look back over the last 4 or 5 years. We do feel like these additional tools can help us better achieve that goal that the state has out there. It's a little bit of a stretch for us. We feel like this is gonna be a good asset for us.
Good deal. Thank you. All right, well, board policy recommendation, second reading, Dr. Olin.
These are the second readings, and these would be the exact policies you would have seen last month, policy F225 on fundraising and crowdfunding. You also have the H250 on the school library material removal request procedure. Nothing has changed from what you would have seen last month on that. Hearing no questions last month, if you don't have any this evening, I would recommend approval of both of those.
Yeah, we don't have any more questions or comments, kind of get a motion to approve the board policies as presented.
I move that we approve the board policies as presented.
Second,
Second.
all in favor say aye. All opposed, same. Let's move on to construction project report updates.
Yeah, this is probably one of the more bland reports I've shared with you over the last 6-8 months. No updated pictures because you really wouldn't notice much visually that would have changed since our last meeting. And I did prep you with some disappointing news as we had our last construction meeting with Skillman. We had a follow-up meeting with it was Victor Lanfer who actually shared with us that things were probably 2 months behind from the original plan. Obviously, we were disappointed to hear that because the only news we had heard for the last 6 months was that everything was on schedule. Give you a few of the ideas that would lead to that, most of it having to do with the excavation inside the actual auditorium box. We did make the decision to do some underground HVAC work because it's quieter to do that rather than forcing air from 35 feet up in the air, which makes it a much more exact science to pull that off. That has caused a little bit of a delay. Some of the structural steel that's being put in, that has taken a little bit longer than they anticipated, which has made it difficult to coordinate the various vendors that are supposed to be in there. So disappointing, certainly not the end of the world. We've been really shooting for the end of July so we can have our opening day meeting there next year, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But if we can hit that by the end of September, it really shouldn't impact us from an instructional standpoint. Should be able to get fall musicals and some of the instrumental programs in there for the fall. So just, that would be the update I have for you specific to the auditorium project.
Okay, thank you.
In addition to that, you would have seen some of the things about the general obligation bond, which we are planning to receive those proceeds tomorrow. Put a reminder in there of some of those big projects we would use some of those proceeds for. Some of those that have already started will be reimbursing that operations fund that Mr. Dade shared with you a little bit earlier in the meeting. We've also previewed a few of those things that will be coming up here over the next few months.
Thank you. On to new business, business information. Mr. Day.
Yes, I have 2 items this month. The first is grants and donations. J.B. Stevens Elementary received a $2,000 donation from Standard Change Makers for the Kindness Cougars project, led by Mrs. King and her 3rd grade class. Harris Elementary received $500 from the Indiana Retired Teachers Association to purchase a xylophone from Mrs. Buckley's class. The Greenfield Central School Foundation granted wishes in the amount of $32,149.64 this fall, and the Greenfield Central School Foundation funded E2 grants in the amount of $43,960.11, and that happened late last spring and into the fall. I ask that the school board approves the grants and donations as presented. The amount of these opportunities is $78,609.75. I've also included total donations for the year, including these donations tonight. That was $137,030 on the nose. As you can see, that's one of our higher years in the past few years. Last year we had a great year. We had some special projects that came in, but again, a very positive amount for the year.
Most appreciative. Can we get a motion to approve the grants and donations as presented?
I move that we approve the grants and donations as presented.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye. All opposed, same. I think you have
Second
one
item.
more, don't you?
Yeah, second item I have is C1A, and it is that time that we are going to put out one of our parcels of farmland for lease. If you remember last year, we rented out parcel 2 and 3, and so this year we're going to lease out parcel 1, and this is the land northwest of Maxwell Intermediate School. Attached are the form of lease agreements and what will go into the bid package for potential bidders. One item that is a change on this lease compared to our last leases, and particularly last year's lease, we would like to do a 4-year term instead of our typical 5-year term. And that will allow us to line up all our leases in the same time frame, so that way everything will go to market at the same time. We ask that the board authorize these farmland lease documents, and we suggest a bid opening the week of January 2024. Trying to get everybody's schedules coordinated on that. We will advertise the lease twice, 7 days apart, and 7 days before bid opening. I ask that the board approve these documents and give the superintendent permission to set the bid opening date for the first week of January 2024.
If you have any questions or comments, can I get a recommendation for the board to approve the advertising of the farming lease and give the superintendent permission to set the bid opening date for the first week of January 2024?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. All right, on to out-of-state field trip.
Thank you.
Do have a request from Greenfield Central High School, the VEX Robotics team, asking permission to go to Sandusky, Ohio for the competition, January 18th through the 20th at the Kalahari Classic VEX Robotics competition. This is not anything new to Greenfield Central. Mr. Kirkhoff has taken a group there for a number of years. Joe Steffer has been a part of that as well. They would be chaperoning this trip. This particular trip would incur no cost to the school corporation, and the group understands expectations the board would have for overnight out-of-state field trips. I have no reservations and would recommend approval.
Yeah, can I get approval to approve the overnight out-of-state field trip as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. All right, thank you. On to personnel matters, routine contract, recommendation, resignation, leaves, and retirements.
I do have 3 leave of absence. Those would include Scott Curran, Lori Olin, and Elisa Stanfield. Certified recommendations, Melinda Hufford, Dan Capps. An administrator recommendation for Chad Gray. Certified resignations, Christy Kessler, Nancy Nolan, Nan Nolan. Certified retirements from Shelley Finney, David McKenzie. ECA recommendations, Adam Ellis, Tom Fielder, Devin Franklin, Taylor Gibson, Andy Ortline, Lindsay Pope, and one on that last page for Noah Ramsey. Our recommendation is that the board approve the personnel report as presented and provide opportunity to hire as needed for the duration of the 23-24 school year. Of course, we would bring those candidates to you at the next regular scheduled board meeting.
If we have no comments or questions, can I go ahead and get approval of the personnel report as presented?
Make a motion to approve the personnel report as presented, as well as permission to hire as needed for the 23-24 school year.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye, all opposed, same.
We do have one individual here I'd like to introduce to you this evening. That would be Chad Gray, the new Director of Transportation. Good to have you.
Mr. Beaver has somebody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Good seeing you.
And I was notified we actually have one of our teachers with us this evening, Mr. Beaver.
We do. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Stacy Dennison. Stacy came to us from Warren Township. Stacy is teaching Spanish and world languages and just joined us a short time ago.
Thank you.
All right, welcome aboard. On to classified raises, handbook, and updates.
Do you have a copy of the classified handbook? Go ahead and take it, Mr. Day.
Sure. So including in your packet is a copy of the classified handbook for 2024 that's been updated, and a recommendation for the corporation level 2024 classified salaries. As you may recall, over the last couple of years, we have moved our hourly and school year staff to a summer raise cycle, and we addressed a number of those in July of this previous year. In this report, we're primarily addressing the year-round classified employees at the corporation level. There is one correction on stuff in the handbook, items in the handbook. We did eliminate the COVID classified at this time, and we are recommending that we remove the full-time substitute position from the benefits matrix and the handbook starting in the 24-25 school year. So it is currently in the handbook, but it's going to come out in July. We've added some items to the benefits matrix, which include a full-time and part-time SRO position. We're, as you know, as we discussed in the past, we're adding more SROs in the spring, which is definitely a positive for us, and we have added the perf to their benefits matrix, which we did last meeting, so that's reflected in there. We're collapsing down our administrative assistant levels to 3 and moving the administrative assistant for student services to a level 3 position. And then we are adding back in that lead mechanic position to reflect the transition in our transportation department. As we've discussed in the past, it's something that's in the budget, it just hasn't been in the salary matrix until we found somebody to fill that role. I'm happy to answer any questions about the items included, and I ask the board approve the classified raises and the classified handbook as presented.
Questions or comments?
I think I just highlighted, we went over a lot there, but the addition of the SROs, just the continued investment we think there.
Yeah, that should be added, I believe, as early as February.
First week of February.
I think can we approve the classified raises and classified handbooks?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
A second.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye, all opposed, same. On to out-of-coach recommendations, second reading.
Second reading of the fall coaches, no surprises in there. You would have seen last month information from both athletic directors from the high school and junior high. This would just be the basic contract recommendations that you're seeing for a second time. If you have no questions, I'd recommend approval.
Yeah, no questions, can I get a motion to approve coaches' recommendations as presented?
I move that we approve the coaching recommendations as presented.
A second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Alright, on to, I guess we're about done here. I've got another, I wanna say congratulations to our principal, high school here for winning the principal of the year. Awesome, and
Also like to thank the local paper for giving us some publicity on that.
yeah,
While you're on that, if you don't mind, I'd like to interject that Todd Grimes was just named the Simon Youth Foundation Teacher of the Year for Indiana. We just found that out a couple of days ago, so we'll have more for you on that as well.
alright, thank you very much. And thank you for being new pal the other night. Alright, we'll move right along so we get out of here. As a matter of fact, if we don't have anything else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor say aye. Aye, all opposed, same. Thanks, have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yes.